Hi, I'm Mr. Miyagi, and this is Mr. Miyagi's Workshop. Well, continuing on with the dual sport, the XS650, you can see we've pretty much stripped the frame down. I'm going to finish up today by removing and pulling the swing arm, wheels, front end off. We're going to end up doing a few things to the front end and to the swing arm. So to the front end, we're going to add some progressive springs for a little bit of handling, and the new style dampeners. I've never used these before. There's a little bit of work that you have to do. I'll film that part just so you can follow along what I'm doing. It looked fairly simple on the instructions, so hopefully I'll get to that today or tomorrow. And on the swing arm, we're going to add the new brass bushings on there, and I do have a new seal kit for it. So hopefully that will work out. I'm going to spend some time cleaning the frame up, pulling the rest of the stuff off, and getting it ready for paint. I was going to powder coat it, but here again, it's going off-road, and why? It's going to get damaged here and there, so hopefully we'll get that all straightened around today. So you can see that I've gotten everything pretty much cleaned up and painted, and we're going to let everything dry. Use this lacquer, silica lacquer. Fairly a durable paint. It's cheap. If you want to get by and do a cheap paint job, this stuff works pretty good. Anyway, these were the racks that were supposed to fit a KLR 650. Now I had to cut them. I had to cut all the mounts off and put on my own mounts to make it work on for the XS. I suppose I could have built all of this, but when I bought the bags and the bracket, it was such a good deal through MX Power Play. I couldn't beat it. So a little bit of cutting, grinding, and fitting, and there you have it. And hopefully on the gas tank I'll be able to do some compound rub out on it and it'll be fine. If not, I'll just do a quickie paint job on it. Like I said, this is a fun bike. I am not trying to make this pretty to go to any shows. This morning we're going to be working on a set of Yamaha fork tubes. We're going to put in some new springs and some new dampeners, and pick these up from Mike's XS. We're going to set this up. First thing you have to do is you have to remove your dust cap. Dust cap here. I've taken it off there, just work it off, and then remove the screw that holds the fork tube in. One thing you want to do before you do this is remove your drain screw and let this drain. I let mine drain overnight so that it would be all good and cleared out of fluid. We're going to remove this cap now. Now a lot of you probably don't have a ear impact. This does tend to make things a little easier. We're removing this. Now this is the newer style. It already has a preload set up in there. This preload works is that there's a straight slot inside here, and then this is pushed down and just keeps going up to whatever preload that you want on it. sits there. We're not going to use this because we're setting a preload up off of these units. So I've added an extra set of holes and drilled the existing hole. This is a stock one with the smaller holes in it. And this is a 5/16 hole in there that we drilled to enlarge that. You want to put in an extra set of holes in these units if you're using these dampeners. What we have here, this is the old one, and it has 2 sets of holes. So there's 1 hole and 1 hole, so that's considered a set, and this is considered a set. We need to add an extra set, plus drill these holes out here to 5/16. So what you want to do is you want to go 10 millimeters, the old 10 millimeter, and you want to drill it on the opposite side of this one, your last hole. You want to stay in line here with your bottom hole. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark that. I happen to have a nice little punch here. And we're going to put in a pilot hole. So now I have 3 sets of 2 holes. So I'm going to go bore these out. I'll be right back. I've got the 5/16 set up in my drill press, so I'll be right back. So now we have enlarged that. What you want to do is you want to clean these out of any burrs at all. Now I have a little tool here for doing that. You could use a small file. Clean these burrs. You also want to look inside and make sure that you've gotten all of those burrs inside loose. You don't want any of this material coming loose and rolling through your fork. It could cause some damage on the dampeners. Now you can look through from one side to the other and just see what kind of items are still hanging up, material still hanging up on the inside. So you definitely just want to make sure that that's all been cleaned out. And I can't stress it enough, make sure you clean these well. Clean out your tubes before putting this together. Now they recommend you can run 5 up to 30 weight, but they recommend a 15 weight fork oil for this. And that's what I'll be putting in. To set these dampeners, you can go all the way up to 7 turns. And what they mean is that is 7 turns completely. So 1 full turn. And for stock bikes, just street rides, you would adjust this, and that is by taking a 7 millimeter and holding the other end. And I'm not going to turn this because I've already set, but turn that the amount of turns that you want. Stock is 2 turns. Racing, if you're going to be on a racetrack or other, they consider 4 turns is sufficient. I set mine, since I'm kind of going on-road, off-road, at 3.5, and we'll see how that works. Worst part about this, if you got to readjust it, you got to pull the caps off the end of your forks, pull this all back out to readjust it. So I'm pretty much guessing that 3.5, since I'm going to be on road, off road, I want a little bit more action on there, a little solider. So I'm going with 3.5. But it's a 7mm wrench here, and I believe that this is a 3mm Allen. You want to make sure that this fits in there properly, and you want to look at your springs, how well those fit. Looks like everything's going to fit proper. So we're at the stage now. You've gone through, you've cleaned everything up. I might also suggest, if at this time, if your seals are leaking, I would go in and replace your top seals here. Mine were in pretty good shape, so I'm not going to replace them. Okay, we're at the stage, and we're going to put our forks back together again. You adjusted your little dampeners. If you want to double check your amount of turns, you can always take and put the two nuts together and see how close they fit this way. This will get you darn close. You want to try your dampener tube, make sure that it slides in the bottom. So we're at the stage right now that we're going to end up putting the tubes all back together again. If at this time, you should inspect the little copper washer at the bottom, make sure that's in good shape because it's a seal. You want to make sure that your bottom spring is on. That is your dampening spring. And then sometimes these are a little snug come up there. I just take the screw, if I can get it started. There. Pull it on down. Take your dampener. That goes in there. The bottom end of the dampening seal. Okay. So one thing I do is I'll just take the spring and I'll shove it in there just to hold against. Slide the fork and assembly back up in there. Now we're going to take the screw Alright, so at this time is when I usually like to put the fluid in. I just remove the tube itself, the spring, put in this takes 5.72 ounces. Now Mike's XS has instructions on how to do this, and I may or may not be following to the T, but that's me. Now inserting the spring, you want to make sure that your coil ends are up, the tight coil. Drop that back down in there. Okay. Sometimes that can be a little bit on the tough side. Lock it down. So we have one fork tube all ready to go. Okay, fork booty on. So I hope that helped a little bit. Clean these up, install them in the front end, put the new wheel on. new spoke wheel that I did, and we should be pretty much good to go. Oh yeah, this has got some good ride on that one. So I hope this has helped you a bit on your forks if you want to go with the dampeners or just change out the springs or be able to get to the seals. Sometimes it could be easy, sometimes it can be hard depending on what's going on. It's nice to have a little bit of air, but like I said, you can do it all manually and everything. Well, this is Mr. Miyagi signing off again. So thank you once again for watching. But please like, share, and subscribe. See you later, gang.